Welcome in, everybody. Happy New Year. Rod, Happy New Year to you. I feel like I've said that to you like 5 times already, but Happy New Year again. Welcome in. It's been, what did the guy say to me? It was like the corniest joke. He's like, it's been a year. I haven't seen you since last year. I don't know. I messed up the joke. But anyway, welcome in. What I wanted to do today.
Last year, we should have.
There you go. That's what it was. It was the guy I saw the night before, you know. So I prepared something. I think, obviously, like at the start of the year, everybody's like thinking about what the year's going to look like for them, and they have all these ideas and stuff. And it's not even just like a resolution thing. It's just like there's stuff you want to get done, and usually what you want for your year isn't what actually happens for your year. And sometimes that's for the good, and a lot of times it's just you miss the target a little bit. And so I want to share a little bit of how I break down goals for my real estate media business and how I teach people to do it. By teaching you to do it. And I think this is a great time because you're thinking about the new year and what you want for your business. And so I prepared a bunch of notes, and I'm going to screen share in a second and show you that. And then we'll answer questions about this and anything else. It'll be a normal Q&A after that. But there's really 3 things you have to do, in my opinion, if you want to have the best chance of getting to where you want. And that is, number 1, you have to set a goal, obviously. And so I'll talk about what goals could look like in your real estate media business and how to set ones that make sense and that help you. Then we'll talk about breaking down the goal, which is step number 2. And then we'll talk about how to actually execute on the goal once you've broken it down into like bite-sized chunks that you can work on. And so let me pull up my screen here. Man, I had it all pulled up and then I hit start and it like ended it. Okay, share screen window, here we go. All right, and bear with me. These are just like my notes as well, so they seem very basic, and I'm going to kind of extrapolate, and there may be some numbers that don't make any sense. So again, if you read ahead, you're not going to get a lot of value from this because it's for me to remember. First one is set the goal. So I think it is really important to have some idea of what you're trying to do so that you can accomplish it. I like this quote: if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. And that's what a lot of people do in their business. That's what I did in my business a lot of the time. And it just didn't really help me grow fast. It didn't help me know if I was on track. And it just generally didn't really serve me as I was growing my business, right? So I think it's a really good idea to have some sort of goal or something you want to have happen in this coming year or in any period of time you're setting a goal for, so that you can know if you're on track and know if you hit it, right? And so some of them are like revenue goals. Some of them are stuff. I mean, you see some ideas here. So if you're brand new, goal would be to quit your job. It could be to buy something you've always wanted, or take a trip, or hit a 10K month. I mean, you can see what I put here. There's no right answer on the goal. I would just encourage you to set something that doesn't feel fully achievable. It feels like a stretch. For example, and this process I'm about to show you, this applies, especially the money math we'll get to in a second. This applies whether you have $0 in your real estate media business, you haven't even started, or you have a business. So this applies to anybody. It doesn't matter if you do $0 a year, $1 million a year, $2 million a year, whatever it is. This framework will still work. And so I think one thing that happens to a lot, and this is more so people that are in the business that already have a real estate media business, maybe doing 10 or 20K a month. I'm going to speak to you for a second, because one thing that happens to people a lot of times is they get into business knowing what they want for themselves: more money, don't want to work the job they work anymore, want to travel, want to, just control things, want to be able to make more based upon their effort, right? And so you go into starting your business saying, hey, what is my business going to do for me in my life? Which I think is a great thing, right? But what you realize is your business also has to serve your clients. And so there's this transition where you go from, hey, I want this business to do this for me, to, hey, I needed to do this for my clients because they like it this way, or because they won't want it that way, or something like that. And so it's very easy to take your eyes off that, hey, this business, the whole point of it was to do something for me and my family, and whatever that looks like for you. You have to have both, but a lot of people forget. Sounds crazy to everybody thinking about starting, but a lot of people who have a business will understand that. Oh, I can't scale, my clients won't like that. Oh, I can't do this, my clients won't like that. Or my business is different, right? And it's like, maybe, but that takes you away from what you want. And so I think it's kind of a cool thing to have a goal. Maybe set a business revenue goal or whatever that is, but also have a goal for something you want. Maybe it's to take some wild $25,000 around the world trip. I don't know. But set that goal for yourself. And I want to give a specific example of it. I was talking to my team earlier. Actually, I think I was on the call this morning, Rod, where I was like, just know what you want this year and schedule it. Maybe you want to take an awesome trip. You want to go to Yellowstone. I don't know. I've never been to Yellowstone, but you want to go to Yellowstone. You don't have the money and you don't have the freedom to do that now. Book it tentatively on your calendar for November this year. And then do all of your actions in alignment with what would allow you to actually take that trip, right? So if you have a job that doesn't let you take any time off, you can't have that anymore. If you have a real estate media business that requires your full attention, you can't take any time off or you lose a ton of money. Either figure out a way to make a ton of money before then so you don't care about losing it, or get something in place, right? So have a goal, sure, for your business, but also have a goal for what it's going to do for you. I think that's really important. And if anybody already knows what they have, like if they already have a goal, especially one of those personal goals, drop it in the chat. I absolutely agree with what you're saying here. Setting revenue goals, I mean, I think you can control them. I just think you can control elements of them. We'll talk about that in a second. But I don't love revenue goals specifically. I love profit goals more. I think you should have both, on the business side. But I really am talking about the personal goals here. Like, what are the things you want to do? And so I think it's really important. So someone put one in there you have for the year, because I'm going to use it and kind of break down what it would take to achieve it later. So we need someone to say something. And it's not just like, I'm not saying like, go from, if you make $4K a month right now, being able to afford, a $4 million house. Like, don't set a goal that you're never going to hit, right? At least in the short term, in my opinion. But okay, Laura Lee said new home. That's awesome. International trip to Canada. Perfect. We got 2, so that'll work. Think about that for yourself.
I think you could do it both, like with what Swing for the Ring said. It's you set a goal, and then I think it's good to set the goal and then set the action of which we want to do to achieve the goal. Because what everyone sets is the goal, but then doesn't focus on what actually is important is the actual action, things that we're going to need to do to make it possible. So like what Swing for the Ring said was perfect. Actually, I mean, as far as like reaching out to 20 new realtors, contact 10 brokerage, like the action of which we want to achieve to hit whatever desired goal, whether it's a revenue goal, whether it's a personal goal or quit my job goal. What's the action of which we need to take to start making that happen and focusing on the action? I see what you're getting at. So
and that's exactly kind of what we're going to go into, is like how you actually, because if you do step 1 and no steps 2 or 3, you're not going to get a lot out of that. And I think I agree, Rod. That's what they were saying.
We got some in here. We got some goals in here now.
Pay down my debt around 80K. Nice. Start off with 10 shoots per week. Retire part-time job out of debt and toward a down payment for a home. Nice, Dave. Cool. 0 to 100K. We're actually going to use the 0 to 100K one. I already have the math done for that one, Tom.
10 shoots per week.
10 shoots per week. Yeah. Okay. So, however you want to approach this, I would suggest having a goal for your business. It could be a revenue goal, it could be a profit goal. And then I would suggest having a goal that what that's going to do for you. Why are you doing that? You're not just doing it for the revenue, right? Okay. So we got that down. Next step is to break down the goal. This is what Rod was saying. If you just say, hey, I'm going to buy a house. It's like, well, if I don't know how much the house is going to cost, I don't know how much I'm going to need to make, and I don't know how I'm going to do that, you're not going to do it. It's just going to be luck if it happens, right? And so breaking it down is important. I don't know where this quote is from, but I like it. The man who moves the mountain begins by carrying away small stones. And so the first thing we need to do is kind of break our goal down in our head into those smaller stones. And I think I just read this here. It's best if it's broken down in many ways and in as many parts as needed. And so sure, you could spend forever breaking it down and not do anything, but I think more people don't break down their goals than spend too much time analyzing them. I think it's more likely that you just haven't done this. So one more thing I'll say before I break down the goal specifically is I would make the math harder for you, seem worse, and then the results will seem easier. So if, we need to make 2 shoots a day to make this happen, we're going to estimate off 3 shoots, right? Or if we normally get a 20% conversion rate on clients, we're going to estimate 15, because it's always better to be more conservative in the numbers and then be pleasantly surprised, at least my take on it, right? And so I'm going to break down, the first goal is going to be 100K added to your business. So whether you have an existing real estate photo business or a new one, this is going to be 100K added. And I'm going to use this, I'm going to break it down as if we don't count referrals or anything like that. So we're just going to assume truly 100K in new business. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can break this down to make it seem more achievable. Broken down by shoots per day. So 100K revenue, I'm going to break it down to $8,333 a month, which is $378 a business day, approximately. And already right there, like if you're new, especially, and you see 100K a year, you have that's just in the sky, doesn't mean anything, right? But $378 a day, I mean, that seems more bite-sized to me. You're thinking, okay, I need to make $378 a day in revenue in my business. And if the average shoot is $300, that's 1.2 shoots a day. So you can start kind of seeing how that would work. You can visualize what that would look like in your business. So now we can kind of think about it in that way. If this is adding to your business, as I have written down here, that's less than one photographer. So if you currently were maxed out, if you hired one more photographer, they could absolutely take 1.2 shoots per day average off your plate, right? Some days it's 2 shoots, some days it's 1, or whatever the number is. And so kind of gives you a way to visualize that. And you have to swap your goal here. If you're doing 900 grand a year and you want to do 1.4 million, you could do the same numbers. That would be a 400 grand delta. And so you'd have to do the math for that, right? And then determine how many shoots a day. And that's going to tell you how many photographers you need. And I know there's a lot more on the newer side in here, so I'll talk about that a lot. But for those of you who already have a business, especially a business doing, has multiple photographers, it's really important to do the math on that to know what your team is going to look like, because then you're actually getting a true picture of what you're going to need to do over the next year. If you find out, hey, I'm going to need to have 7 more photographers than I have right now, you're going to have to make a plan for when you're going to hire and train them, and what that's going to look like. And it's 1 every 2 months. A little bit more aggressive now, 1 every 1.6 months. So you're kind of breaking it down, right? With every goal, you just break it down. You can break 100K down by clients. I'll show you that one. This is an interesting one that I think a lot of you will find beneficial, especially if you're brand new. And it's not all numbers. Don't get too bogged down on this. It's the actions that really matter. I just want to show you the math. If you have questions as I go through this, drop them in the comments, because I see them and I can kind of weave it into what I'm talking about for now and then answer it if not. So, you want to make 100K revenue, how many clients do you need to have? Well, what we've found is that most real estate media businesses make between $100 and $200 per month per client, whether they use you or not. It's an average, right? So if you picture having 100 clients, that's going to be roughly $120,000 a year in revenue on the worst case scenario, estimating off $100 per client. Okay, so I said $100 to $200 per client per month is most real estate media businesses. But the rule I said at the start was we're going to make it hard on ourselves, right? So I'm going to pick the lowest number, which is 100. Think about it this way too. A client is worth $100 a month or more to your business. So you can kind of do the math off that, right? Now, some clients use you twice a year. Some clients use you twice a month. Some clients use you twice a week, but on average. So with that math, if we want to make $100,000 in revenue, we're going to need 83 clients throughout the year. We have to have 83 clients starting from day 1 throughout the year. So what that tells us is that 7 clients per month, if we take 83 and divide it by 12, right? I'll put that math in here so it makes a little more sense. So 83 clients divided, I don't know how you do that. I'll do it this way. Divided by 12 months shows that we need to get 7 clients per month to get to 83. Now, what you're probably thinking, especially if you're following me on the math, is you're like, Eli, that's going to get us 83 clients by the end of the year. And that's correct. So this right here would get you enough to be doing 8,333 a month by the end of the year, or 100K a year run rate, but not 100K collected. So here's an example of the 7 clients per month. So this is rough. This is not going to happen perfectly because there's seasonal swing. You can sometimes get one client who pays you well over 700, but just doing averages here because we want to be able to break it down. Kind of shows you the progression, and you can see we end the year at a 100K a year run rate. So the next year we do over 100K, we've collected 50K. But if we want to do, let's say you're like, hey, I'm at $0, Eli, but I want to have made 100,000 the first year. Well, we need to get double that. So you always double the amount of clients you need if you want to get to collected over just run rate. Does that make sense? Rod, did that make any sense how I explained that? I'm trying to think of a better way to explain that. Are you catching on?
I think so. I think you're saying doubling the amount of clients to get collected.
Yes. So
Okay.
whatever amount of clients would get you to the run rate by the end of the year. So in this case, 7 clients per month would get us 83 clients a year. And 83 clients each paying us $100 a month would get us to 100K a year run rate. If we want to collect it, you have to double that number. So we'd have to get 14 clients per month, and you could see the ramp up there, and it ends with slightly over $100,000 a year. So I don't know if that makes sense to everybody here.
Someone asked if this is applicable to someone who is just starting. This is,
yes.
Whether this is adding on revenue or whether starting from 0, this can be applicable too.
Yeah. Well, and the point I'm making here is you don't have to do this exact math. What I'm trying to show is that when you set that goal, whether it's 100K a year, 400K or whatever, or it's, I need to make $3,000 extra so that I can save up this amount by this time to buy this thing, right? Whatever your goal is, the first thing I would recommend doing is the math and breaking it down. And you can do very, very simple math, right? This first one is very simple. We just wanted to see how many shoots per day we needed to do 100K in revenue on average, right? And so we said, okay, what's the first thing we can do? Well, let's not think about it annually. Let's think about it monthly. So that's 8,300 a month. We broke it down. So it's simply taking what you want to achieve and breaking it down by the amount of time or whatever unit, right? You do the same thing with client acquisition, just another example of it. If we want to see, how many DMs we need to send. So in this case, don't look at this yet, but if we want to see, hey, if we need to do this, if we want to get this, how many DMs do we need to send? Well, here's how we can figure that out. If on average, it takes us 10 DMs to get someone to say yes, right? Per yes. I'll put that in here. Okay. We're like, okay, we know how many yeses, and it takes 2 yeses to get a shoot. And we get 1 client per shoot, which means everybody that takes us up becomes a client. We know that it's 20 DMs per client, right? Because we need to get 20 DMs to get to get 1 client, because we get 2 yeses per shoot. Are you following, Rod? Are you following me at all? If you're lost, okay, perfect. So that's
well, let's comment yes if this is making sense so far. If there's a part someone wants us to elaborate on, we can. Or if I see mostly yeses, we'll just keep on going.
Let's see.
It might be delayed a second, so we'll wait for the sea of yeses.
Yeah, and it's not so much the math you need to know, it's just being able to calculate this. Yeah, so that's the one that's confusing. So let me rewrite this. Most are getting it, but I will say this is not the most straightforward way to explain this. So if we have to send 10 Instagram DMs per client, that's like, yeah, I'd love to use you for a free shoot. But what you'll find is that of the people that say yes, so 2 yes equal 1 shoot. Of the 2 people that say, let me do this. That's right. Yeah, 10 DMs per yes. So we send 10 DMs, 1 person says yes. But what we find is that only half the people that say yes actually book a shoot. So we need to get 2 yeses to get 1 shoot. Okay. And then every time we get a shoot, we basically get a client out of that. When someone takes you up, they're almost always there. So what this tells us is that in order to get an actual client, a shoot, we need to send 20 DMs. Because if the math goes like this, right? If we send 20 DMs, we're going to get 2 people.
And these numbers are based on what we generally will see.
Yes, these numbers are based on what we will see. Yeah.
If someone uses the right copy, the right approach, the right sales methods, the right marketing methods, just those combined together, well, this will be what we'll usually see on average.
Yep. Yeah. So you send 20 DMs, 2 people say yes, 1 becomes a client. So what we can then break down is, hey, if we need to get 7 clients per month, how many DMs do we need to send, right? Per month. And so we multiply 7 clients, how many you want to get, by 20 DMs per client, which shows us we need to send 140 DMs a month, right? To hit this 7 clients. And you'll find, that this will be a little different business to business, all this data. So you would do these calculations with your business. But the goal is we need to go from having our big goal, hey, we want to make 100K this year, to what does that mean today? What do I need to do today to make that happen, right? And so this is an example of that. We know that we need to get 7 clients per month to hit 100K run rate. And so we're saying, well, what do we got to do to get 7 clients? Well, the Instagram method done right, it's this. And so that kind of moves into the last one, which is actually executing on that. Once you learn that, if you know that you need to send 140 DMs a month, obviously break that down into weekly. You're going to need to send like 40 DMs a week or whatever that comes. This is the last one you execute on. You actually make it happen. So another quote I like, I don't know who it's from, vision without execution is just hallucination. I think it's Thomas Jefferson. But you know how there's those quotes that are like misattributed? It's probably Winston Churchill misattributed, from 4 other people. Anyway, the most important thing once you get the numbers, once you break down the goal, is to put them into action in your business. So a couple things that I'll say that'll make this easier, at least for me. If you don't use a calendar for your actual business operations, you will for sure grow slower than someone who does. So you probably have, especially if you already have your real estate media business, you have a calendar for your shoots. And if you're thinking about starting a real estate media business, you probably are thinking that you're going to have a calendar where when someone books 2:00, it's in there, right? We use Spiro. You have your shoots. Everybody knows that, but most people It's wild to me, actually. And I did it, so it shouldn't be that wild. I used to not keep a calendar. But it's wild to me how few people have a calendar for their own business tasks. You always show up for your clients. They're always on your calendar, but is doing the Instagram method on your calendar, is doing a brokerage presentation on your calendar, is doing whatever it's going to take to get to your goals actually on the calendar. So use a calendar not just for shoots. If you need to do 30 DMs a week, you could break it up and doing a little bit each day, or you could just say, hey, Monday from 11 to 12 every week, that's when I'm doing my 30 DMs. And I know if I consistently do that throughout the year, I'll arrive where I want to arrive. I'm not saying you just blindly do it. Maybe a few times a year you go like, hey, is this working? Am I on track? But having a calendar, not just for shoots, is very important. You just will not have a super successful business if you don't do that. Scratch, a bunch of notes by your computer, sticky notes. That is all nonsense that disorganized people who can't figure it out do. So, if you're looking at your computer right now and you have like 65 sticky notes, that's holding you back. That's not a good move, right? Organize stuff so that you can actually do what you need to do to get your business. And now it's a password, sure, put it on there, but also we're in 2025, like can save it on your computer. Anyway, use a calendar, not just for shoots. Set KPIs and hold yourself to them and your team. So maybe your goal is you want to do brokerage presentations. In order to do a brokerage presentation, there's like a few steps that need to happen first. You need to call and schedule it. You need to get it, actually on the schedule. You need to get stuff prepared for it, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not a brokerage presentation specific thing, but and then you want to do 12 of those a year. Well, you can't just do them, right? There's steps before. So you need to start scheduling that out. Maybe the first week of every month, you book one for later in the month. And then you do this next step and this step. Get that on your calendar and have KPIs for yourself. I will do this many DMs per month. I will do this many, whatever it is in your business, and hold yourself to that. Very, very important, to have those metrics that you're shooting for. And you create those metrics by doing this. That's a KPI, a key performance indicator, right? 140 DMs. We know that if we do those are indicators that we're going to get what we want based upon our strategy. So keep that in mind. And then lastly, follow the plan. I think more than not, it's not that you didn't know what to do. It's just that you didn't do it for long enough. And so I think everybody knows that if you do the Instagram method right, it gets you clients. You have to learn how to do it right, and then you have to do it. Those are two separate things. And so consistency, obviously, this isn't like breaking news, but you have to be consistent if you want to get to your goal. But the cool thing is now, from where we started, and I know a lot of you probably knew a lot of this and you had your goals, but from, hey, I don't have a goal to, hey, I want to make 100K a year and this is what it's going to take and this is how many clients and this is how many DMs. And now having that in your calendar, that's how you make something actually happen. And so now what you have to do is you have to figure out what that thing is for you want to achieve. Open up a spreadsheet, just go on Google Docs like I did, put in there what you want to achieve and go from there. Rod, should we have someone put a goal in there and like we break down their goal, or how do you think we should approach this? We can just do an open Q&A.
Seems like some people want that doc. Share that doc.
How do I share this?
Is that shareable? Probably to where it's shareable, where it's viewable, shareable.
Yeah.
And then what y'all can do if you want to get all fancy and stuff is get on Google Sheets, get in there and to where he was showing you need 7 amount of, record it all in there and get to a point where you can actually, you can set the goal, 100 grand. This is all the things you got to do. And everything he just had right there will show up. And then you could put in 150 grand and then it changes all the numbers. Right there, you can get really fancy if you want to do that. But what Eli's talking about now is just reverse engineering. You have a goal. Let's reverse engineer it. What's the daily and weekly actions I'm going to take to achieve that goal? And you guys can get so specific with it. And then also gives you peace of mind. Every day and every week that you're done and you've done what you needed to do. You've hit the things you need to hit. As a business owner, it's hard to know when to clock out and when to put the business down sometimes. So when you reverse engineer and you have the X amount of DMs you need to hit to get X amount of increase in revenue, and then you're done that day, you're done that week. So it actually will bring you some more peace of mind, because I used to be the person that would calculate how much time it's costing me to hang with family, go dogs, Cam, what's up? I got the game on over here. So if y'all see me randomly go like, a tight face, it's not any questions. It's literally me watching the game, multitasking over here. But that way it's easy to feel like, oh, if I'm not working, I'm not making. Not everyone feels that way, but a lot of people can. So just knowing these numbers and knowing what you want, reverse engineering that, like Eli has shown, getting exact specifics of what you need to do, and then like swing for the ring set in here.
Wow.
Up it, keep gaining. If you reached out to certain amount of agents, up it a little bit. Don't up it too much. If you're doing Instagram, you'll get blocked if you do too much, right? So, but then from there you can control the growth and really get an idea. And like he said, like someone said, you can't know what you're going to make, but you could get pretty dang close once you got enough data and reverse engineer a certain way and can look at it that way. So, yeah, that doc was really helpful for that. So appreciate you sharing that, man.
Putting in the chat right now, because the main thing is I don't, YouTube thinks I'm spam on my own channel, so I'm having to break this up. Execute on the goal. So those 3 steps are the biggest thing. Execute on the goal it doesn't like.
Look at the word execute.
Yeah, execute.
Put in straight up murder the goal.
Yeah, crush it.
Okay, don't do that. This reminds me of like Zig Ziglar 7 steps of goal setting. A little bit. You've simplified a lot more. I don't. The worst thing we can do is overthink goal setting, and it's really the action.
I wanted to like
how you simplified it down versus the 7 steps that like Zig Ziglar.
Yeah. Well, I think whatever you have is good. For whatever reason, YouTube wouldn't do that. So like, if you're trying to get something as a takeaway from this, I want you to know how to do what I just did rather than just see the doc, if that makes sense. And so the 3 steps you need to remember are set the goal, break down the goal, and execute the goal. And so for another one, for somebody else's goal, like let's say your goal is to buy a house. Well, the first thing is set the goal, right? Then break down the goal. There's a lot of stuff that's going to go into buying a house. You need to get the down payment, right? You need to maybe have a certain credit score. You need to, and you're only going to know this stuff if you talk to a lender now, right? You maybe need to have a certain income for the year to qualify. So that's what we'd be doing in the break down the goal stage. We need the goal, what that's going to take. So that in this case, buying a house, there's steps to that, right? So we need to know what those steps are and what it's going to take. And then we're going to need to break down the business to know what it's going to need. So maybe you need $75K a year to qualify for the house. I think it was Laura Lee that said she wanted to buy a house, a couple other people. So maybe we need to make 75 or whatever the number is, right? Then we can break down that number in our business, know how many shoots, know how many clients, and we're working towards that. And then the last step is to actually execute on the goal. We need to put in our calendar the things that need to have happen to make that happen. So we have the stuff for the house, talk to the mortgage person, right? Whatever other stuff you need to do, save for the down payment. Like you need to have that in your calendar. Every month be doing something. Maybe it's transferring into an account. Like we need to be doing that. And then we need to have the goals in the business too that will facilitate that. And so those are the things. And I think it's very simple. Like everybody knows this. We just don't do it. And so reminding yourself,
overwhelming
to do this.
It could feel overwhelming. So I love that you break it down this way. And because thinking of 100 grand is a lot, but thinking of 140 DMs a month.
That's better. Is that not?
Isn't so crazy when you break down, okay, what do I need to do consistently over a certain amount of time to hit this big goal? A lot of people, when they think of the goals they have, they think if it's so big, it's great and it pushes us, but it can also make us feel like it's a very tiny light at the end of a very long tunnel. What's the point of running? So a lot of times it breaks it down to bite size, just what's in front of you. What can you see? Step there, keep stepping as long as the steps are towards the right spot.
And that's the thing too, is like it starts with having the goal, right? Like that quote, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit every time kind of thing. A lot of people are like, I just want a better life. And it's like, well, we need to know what that means to be able to get to it. Because then you won't even know if you've arrived, and you'll don't know if you're on track. And so if you really follow the steps, it actually helps you make whatever it is more achievable. You set it and you're like, okay, cool. Now I have this goal. And now it's like, well, now I can break down something and actually know if I'm on track. Because here's the thing about if you want to create any kind of success for yourself this coming year, a lot of the time, even with the steps, knowing the steps because you broke it down, you're still going to feel a little bit hopeless at times. You're going to feel down about it. And if you have those feelings with no action plan, you for sure don't move towards it, right? Whereas if hey, I just need to send 140 DMs a month, you don't have to be thinking about stuff, right? You can just send your 140 DMs, but you're not having to go like, what do I need to do now? It's like, that plan. So when you're not feeling it, you're still able to take the action steps that will help you get there. And that's why I think that's very important. Because like really a lot of it is there will for sure be a time, no matter what you do this year, where you're going to be like, I don't know if this is working. I don't know if we're on track. And it's like the math and your plan is going to help you know that you are, even if you don't feel good about it. What questions does everybody have? Drop them in the chat. Who's excited about this year? Is anybody in January starting their business? Like for sure in January starting their business. And then if you already have a real estate media business, comment what your goal or goals are for the year. Couple starting their business. Cool.
Nice.
Don't let January go by without getting started.
Yeah.
I'm just starting. I had my first shoot on Monday. Cam, nice. You're started. Okay, 50K, 50K a year, 50K a month, Roadkill Ron. Wes said goal 10K per month. Wes, immediately after this, break it down. Know roughly how many clients you're going to need. Remember, $100 a month per client, 20 DMs per client. Start doing the math. Like, go do it right after this. Andrew said 6K a month. Nice, Andrew. Very achievable. Totally do that. 150K this year. Nice. Roadkill Ron said 50K per year is what I'd like to do at a minimum. Absolutely achievable. Yeah, math is power, Wes.
The math, yeah, and also, be conscious if you're just getting started too, and we're hearing, okay, all I got to do is send 140 messages and 100 grand is coming in, baby. Just keep in mind, I mean, obviously there's the approach that has to be done has to be very specific and particular as well. And there's a lot of moving parts and things to be conscious of that people don't think about when it comes to it too, that you just don't want to just start there and just reaching out like crazy and you're realizing after 1,000 messages, hey, it didn't work. And
well, that's why you need to look at the numbers
again. We got to make sure it is working before we get to that point. So that's why the numbers are so important. Like you said, to know like, okay, if I'm not getting this amount of yeses yet, I need to stop and like maybe adjust how I'm reaching out or maybe adjust my portfolio. Or
well, there's also other stuff that these actions are going to cause us to have to do, right? So it's like if you're just starting, like, okay, if you're gonna get 7 clients per month is what we're trying to do. Well, in order to do that, you need to know how to shoot real estate, right? Like that's a key. You need to have the right systems in your business. You need to do the Instagram method right. A lot of people, just like Rod said, blast a ton of messages and don't get any responses. And so there are things you're going to have to do. But because we did the math, we can know if something isn't in alignment, right? So like, for example, let me screen share really quickly. We're not shooting in the dark with just the 140 DMs. We know that for this to work, we need to get a yes every 10 DMs we send. So it gives us ways to course correct, which is cool along the way, right? If you figure out it's not, it's like, well, what's going on? What am I doing wrong? And so you need to know that. So in this case, with the Instagram method, if you're getting 1 yes per 10 DMs, you're roughly on track. Now there's nuance, right? This isn't going to happen overnight. You send a DM and sometimes people don't respond to it for 30 days, but they become a yes in 30 days. And so that's where having this data where you've done the math and you've seen what's working in your business to calculate, it kind of helps, right? And so when you're on track, and that's important. And that's the whole point of breaking this down, is we know it's not just the end metric we care about. It's knowing the other stuff along the way. Okay, let's see. It's my 3rd year and I want to hit 150K after 70K this past year. Definitely achievable. I would, so anybody that's currently in business that's doing more than, $5 grand a month, you want to look at tripling for the first couple of years every year. After that, obviously, if you triple for like 30 days, it's like billions of dollars. So you're not going to do that for, 20 years in a row. But you can triple for the first few years. So if you did 70K this year, I'd shoot for like 20 or 210K. Ton. I think you can absolutely do that. Honestly, if you get very few referrals, you're probably still going to hit 150. I'm not trying to put you down. I'm trying to pull you up. I think you can do 210 this year. Let's see. I'm in a small town, 77K people. 77,000 is not that small. That's plenty of people. Generally below 50K, when someone's like wanting to work with us in coaching, they talk with us, and that's part of the process. A lot of you here have probably done that. A lot of names I noticed from in coaching. One of the first things we do is we look at the size of your city. Now, if you apply and you're in Dallas, we know there's plenty of people, right? But especially when you're below 50K, we start to look at the market a little bit and go like, hey, is there surrounding cities? Like, how far are they? How many listings? If you're over 50,000 people, it's for sure going to work in your area, in the US at least. In Canada, Australia, different markets like that. If you're in a European country in a smaller amount than that, we'd love to talk with you specifically about that, and we do a little research. But generally, I mean, any thoughts on that specifically, Rod? You've done a lot of that research. for populations that you see?
You know, we look at that metric, that 50K metric within an hour, if anything's nearby outside of that can create some runoff. But I mean, we haven't had anyone have any issues that have been more than 50K within an hour of driving. So yeah, I mean, it's just enough to now that can maybe affect speed of which you get results. Like the speed of which someone gets to a 10 grand month could be different, but the issue in a really heavily populated area is potentially a lot of competition. So they both have their pros and cons. But yeah, when someone has 77K, if I had someone tell me if I looked at someone's city and it said 77K, I wouldn't get nervous. It'd be fine. Yeah. As long as they're ready to work, everything's all good.
In any market, you got to work, so that's true. The other thing you can do, I mean, I guess your name is Ron, but if not, correct me, Ron. It's like 77,000 people. I'm trying to think how many clients you're gonna need. So we can kind of do the math on that. Let's say you want to hit 100K. We know it's 83 clients, or sorry, how many shoots you need to do. So if it's 100K, let's say you want to make 100K. I don't know what your goal is, Ron, but 100K, and we'll break it down by, let's do a $275 average order value to be on the lower end. And it's 363 shoots a year. I guarantee you there's a lot more than 363 homes a year selling in your area. Wes said his name's probably Road. Anyway, that's like 30 shoots a month. I mean, there's definitely going to be 30 shoots or 30 listings going for sale. You're not going to get them all, but there's probably a lot more than that. So that's what it is with like any goal. It's like, what metrics do we need to know to figure out if it's possible? Perfect. 210K it is. I think you can definitely do that. Like, especially with 70K, I mean, that's a pretty solid amount of revenue already. You have clients, you can ask for referrals. You can definitely do some brokerage presentations. You could ramp up the Instagram method if you're not currently doing that. So that's cool. Been cruising at 150K a year, goal of 300K this year. Nice. You need to gain 150K, keep all of your current clients. So you need to gain, 120 clients, something like that. So 10 clients a month. Keep track of that number, Sonoran Concepts Media. If you don't yet, that's going to be the biggest one for an existing real estate media business. How many new clients per month do you get? And then you can know if you're on track. Currently in a 25K person town, but no one does full service media. Did my first shoot. So my base price is $498. I was told at my first shoot that's cheap. That's a good thing. $500 is that's a little cheap for all that, but like it's still good. When a client tells you you're cheap, you're way too cheap. Ooh, I like this one.
Yeah, so I like that one too.
I want to talk on that first, and then I'll jump into my thoughts as well.
I want to know, like, if you're comfortable telling what your city is. I mean, if someone lives in a really small town and it still doesn't actually. It still is just like the money goes around and then it goes up in general. Yeah. So it just depends. What city are you in, Ron? Speaking, there's two Rons in here, back to back.
There it is.
But no, I mean, we just haven't ever seen it be a problem. Even if there's big heavy hitters, we haven't seen it be an issue to infiltrate that, or for our students who are heavy hitters, any new people coming into the market, not harming them depending on the market. But it's just never been an issue from what I've seen ever with anyone back there.
Yeah. Do you know when it is an issue is when you think it's an issue. That's the only time it's an issue. Here's what I mean. I'll tell something. So whenever you're first starting, I think what a lot of people are told about business by people who haven't been in business is that business is all about beating the competition. And sure, it sometimes is. In service businesses, it's just not that way. There's usually more than enough business to go around. And so what it really is figuring out and doing the things that are required to get clients. Here's what I found in mine. I'll say a couple of things. First of all, we have coached more than 10 people in the market where Norman and Young operates.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
We continue to grow. They continue to grow. Now, Fort Worth, Dallas, big market, but still same thing. But we've coached more than 10, right? There's plenty large companies there that are bigger than Norman and Young in DFW and similar size. So we've coached people, and there's already bigger ones. I'll tell a quick story. There's a company there, great people who run it. Two guys that are awesome. When I first started my business, when Aaron came on board, it was us two. It was them two. I didn't know about them. They didn't know about us. And they started to grow and we started to grow. We got like one photographer. They got one. We got two. They got two. And we kind of found out about each other. And it scared me. Every time they would do anything, I paid so much attention to these guys. Every time they changed their pricing, I watched it. And all this, like, I watched their company like a hawk. And this is years ago. I first found them, probably like 7-8 years ago at this point. we'd grow to 2 photographers, they'd grow to 2, they'd grow to 3, we'd grow to 3, 4, 5, 6. We both had this pretty big team. I think we each had 5 or 6 on the team at this point. And one day I thought about it. I was like, man, I've been scared about them forever. And we've both 4x'd our businesses in that period of time, which is kind of interesting, right? Like we didn't take from each other as we were growing our business. And we thought about merging companies, long story short, at one point. And I sat down with them. We had like a 3-hour conversation. And we both sat there and we were laughing how we both were scared of each other for these last 5 years. And we'd both been growing without causing each other a problem. And the reason that's the case is because the real estate media market is expanding. More and more agents pay professional media. There's more and more products we can sell agents. There's more money being spent on media. And there's the same amount of providers. There's more providers, but it's disproportionate, right? And so there's a lot of opportunity for new real estate photographers, which is good. The second thing is there's so many dang agents in every market, and they all have different preferences. Some might want to work with me. Some might want to work with you. Some want to work with a big company. Some want to work with a small company. And so the thing I always tell people is the only time the competition will hurt you is when it prevents you from taking an action on something. So whether that's starting your business, hey, there's already too much competition, I don't want to start. Right there, the competition puts you out of business before you even started, right? You being scared about the competition made you go, I'm not going to start. Maybe you're already going, you're doing 20K a month and you're drowning in work and you want to hire somebody, but you're like, oh, if I hire somebody, like it's not going to be as good and the people are going to go to my competition. Right there is where the competition actually impacted your business, right? Because your fear of them caused you to take a different action that held your business back. And so I would think about that. That's really a killer for a lot of people. It stops a lot of people from starting and it stops a lot of people from growing.
It's funny when you think about getting into a business, there's the worry and the thought about competition. A lot of people that I speak to, will be saying that once you're in the business, you're almost glad of the fear of competition because you don't want others to get in. Because I want them to stay afraid. I'm glad, so it's, it's the person that's the heavy hitter probably maybe thought that too, and then just became the competition. So become the competition. I always say that
let me ask you
in the beginning, we're afraid of competition, but the competition is actually could be more afraid of you in any given situation, unless you're awesome Sharon in here, who said they had a competitor from Rep come into their area, even started to win some of our clients and became good friends. That's the best thing you can do. We can combat it. We can hate that it's happening, but just figuring out how can I make it good and how can I actually channel it into a good thing. Helps, as hard as that might be to do. And shout out to Sharon. I think Brad just recently put up a win from them.
Yeah, that was awesome. I saw that one.
End of year push that helped out a lot. So we saw that, share. So shout out Sharon. Yeah. I just thought her comment was really meaningful to see. So thank you for that, Sharon.
Pushed him over to 250, I think was the win, 250K for the year. It's super awesome.
It's super awesome. So, and I love this too.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Rod. I don't know the answer to this, and I'm hoping I'm not going to give you any. Well, there's kind of a clue by the way I'm asking, but so we have 2 coaching programs. Rod knows this for everybody's context. We have Launch, which is for people just starting. We have Forward for people who already have a business, want to scale to the next level. My guess is competition is virtually only brought up by people in Launch who don't have a business yet. My guess is you don't get on a lot of calls with people in Forward who are scared of competition. Is that true? Or what's your perspective on that?
Thought of that, but if I can think, maybe every now and then someone in Forward is worried about, no, they're more worried about market share and size versus someone else. Yeah. So it's more like
interesting. It's a new
now and then someone in Forward might say like, I'm worried about somebody else, but it's not like it's more of like the reason why they want to get help is to compete with the competition versus the fear of not so it's really a lot of it's 99% of the time going to be with someone in the beginning considering starting, or in the very beginning got the gear, maybe did a shoot or two and is worried about the ones they see because they've searched and they've done their market research, which is good. And then they see like, okay, there's other people. And of course there are. Come on now, there's enough to go around.
But it's definitely more on the Launch side. I'm thinking of one Forward person who joined right now because they were having some trouble with competition. At least they think it is. But
it's more of the motivation versus the fear with them. So it's kind of interesting. And I like what Gene said, look at them as inspiration. I always say competition's a free template.
Yeah, it is.
It's a free template. Use it as you see fit.
It's like when you're first starting, it's so easy to break into the market and I always put it this way, like, you all here, anybody that's just starting and kind of fresh and nervous about this, you could take clients from Norman and Young, my business, so easily because we are a bigger company. We have different people to answer the phone, that go to shoots, that do the edits. Some people don't want that. It's easy to provide great service when it's just you. So you have to lean into the thing that is special about the stage you're in, which is when you're a small business. That's freaking amazing. It's so nice to work with just one person. What did you pin, Rod? I have to see it. I lost it. I didn't get time to read it.
Oh, it was Tyler Tartman.
Competition in U.S. business all the time. Yeah, I mean, it's just like you have to go tunnel vision and be like, if you think about it this way, you will win so much business. What do I have to do? And what's the way I have to set up my business to make it so clients absolutely love working with me? That's why we teach things the way we do. Very customer service oriented. Everything's simple. It's easy to understand. It's easy to work with us. And the way we teach people to do this makes them be easy to work with too and win a lot of clients. And so, this is it, Dave. That's like a much better way to say what I was saying earlier. It's like when the competition gets in your head, that's where the competition is actually causing trouble. And really, that's not actually the competition. It's just fear. It's really true.
We are our greatest competition. It was cooler sounding when I thought it in my head. When I started saying it, it sounded too cheesy. Okay. This is what Paul said. I don't know. It's
hey,
just a shout out to you.
Company, just waiting for it to come back into town. Looking forward to it, Paul.
Yeah. And on that note, if y'all want to book in and speak to us about how we can help your business and what coaching could look like for you and your business, whether you're new or whether you've started, here's our random coaching plug for the evening, brought to you by REPP Coaching.
You do have a little bit of an announcer voice when you want to, Rob.
In the comments. It's the mic. It's a setting on here. But click that link here in the comments. I'll even pin it up here.
I don't think you can click it.
Everyone too as well.
It drives me crazy.
The comments, I think maybe I've linkatized it or hyperlinked it for specific for more technical term.
Linkatized it.
I linkatized it in the comments, but here on the
Rod, talk to me a little bit about, for everybody that's newer that hasn't talked with our team, what is that call? What's that look like? Obviously we're going to talk to you about coaching, but we're not like a team that's going to
pure pressure cooker. Like it's going to be hot pressure. We're going to apply so much. We're going to make you get it. We're going to make you take your credit card out and swipe it. So like, if you don't want that to happen, don't show up. I'm just kidding. Y'all, we've done this a while. I've worked with coaching programs a while too, as well. My wife just bought a health training program as far as nutrition, exercise, mindset and accountability with someone named Rachel Smith. We just spent a good bit of money on that literally yesterday. And you know what I was doing the whole time? Analyzing their sales process, analyzing their tone, their vibe, all these things. I knew what to look for. So I dug into everything and it felt really good to me. But the conversation I had with them was no pressure. It was genuine. I could tell that they were genuinely there to help my wife, and a program they believed in, that she believes in, the person selling it named Rachel. And that's the goal that we have here too, as well. When you hop on a call with us, are we going to sit here and pressure you to get something? No one wants to hop on a call and get pressured to buy anything. I hate that. Yeah. So do we believe in our program? Yes. We're going to go over it with you and show you exactly how it works and give you the details so you know what you're getting involved with, and it's not a surprise or anything. Won't make you cry. Maybe good tears, Dave, but maybe not drill sergeant tears. But what you do in that call is we're going to sit down, get an idea of where you're at, where your business is, whether it's new or not, and get to know that and where you want to take it, and then go over coaching and how that would look for you, specifically what it costs. All that side we'll go over. It's different for where someone's at the business. And just coaching or not, give you a good idea of what this business could look like for you. The goal breakdown that Eli did earlier, what I do in my calls with people is I see an idea of what's the time you have, how many shoots can you do, what's your goal? Yeah, that's doable. This is what you could do. This is what you need to do. And just giving an idea of, is your goal possible per your situation, or is it some lavish, crazy goal that's not possible? Or should you shoot higher? We'll tell you if that's a little, you got all the time. That's like what someone with, we can give you an idea of what that would look like. So that call is clarity. You'll gain a lot of clarity from it. We'll gain a lot of clarity about you as far as where you want things to go, so we can show you how that could actually look and break that down for you, and then break down coaching. So when you click that link, I spammed in there. Let me spam it again. It'll ask you some questions first. That way we get to know just a little bit about where you're at, and you'll book in with our team. And we'll go from there, and we can get to know you. Some of that will be asking you questions to make sure things sound good too as well. And then part of that process will be going over things in detail too. So, man, I don't know. How long have I
don't know. It was
been
good.
talking?
It was good.
I don't know. I just black out sometimes. And I think, was that ranting for 5 minutes? Yeah. So like Cam said, yeah, when y'all get on the calls with us, like, again, we believe in what we provide here, but we understand that if it's not the right time now, at least you'll know how it works, and then let's attack it when it is. So.
Yeah, agreed. We'd love to work with you.
Sorry, that was a lot of ranting. All right, there you go.
No, it's perfect.
Questions.
And I also didn't do this at the start. I think it's kind of funny. A lot of people are probably like, well, why did we always ask about wins and stuff like that? And we do wins in our internal team meetings as well. We start our meetings with wins. And so I forgot to do that on this one, I think, right? Did we do any wins? We did a couple. But if you have a win mainly from 2024, I'd love if you could share that. And here's why. It's fun to share your wins, but also, there's 100 plus people in here. Probably 30 to 40 of you have a real estate media business. Probably 60 of you don't. And when you started, my guess is it motivated you to see other people's wins. And so it's kind of your way to pass it on. You get to feel good and share it win for you. But it also, somebody listening is like, they'll see your win, they'll start a business and it'll change their life. And that's meaningful, right? Wins have motivated me in the different businesses I've been involved in. When I see people doing something, I know it's possible. And so take a second. If you had, any win, big or small, share what happened in your business. It means a lot to people. And I think that's cool because it just takes a couple seconds of your time. So ask questions as well. But if you have a win, if you're already in this business, share it. Sharon and Chris said we broke 250K for the year. That was our stretched goal. I still can't believe I get to say we made $250,000 this year. It's awesome, Sharon. I know I've said this many times on the live. I don't know why a lot of people have quit their jobs going through our ecosystem, but Chris's photo when he quit, I will never forget that. Finished my books for 2024, started in July last year and closed 55K in annual sales. Congrats. That's awesome. Chris said, did 50K as a side hustle, deepen connection with some rep colleagues. Reading my website, excited for 2025. Nice, Chris. Just got off the phone with a broker of the largest brokerage in town. Wants to use us for Zillow tours. Now they're using Showcase listing. Congrats. That's big. Not just photos too. Sounds like they have plans for some other media.
Very nice, Tyler.
Mason said, Eli, my coaching is coming to an end. My win is I took the leap and this business has and will continue to change my life. Thank you, Eli and team. Mason, glad to hear it. It's been fun to have you in. What's your goal for this year, Mason?
No way.
Still got a little bit, I think.
Oh. Oof.
What's your goal for this year, Mason? Revenue. What do you want to see happen? Sam, first month in coaching goal was 0 paid shoots, 2 for success. We have a system within coaching just for everybody's context. You set your low goal and your success goal. And the first month, obviously, is the first month. You're doing a lot of their stuff. So goal was 0 for regular, 2 for a stretch success goal. And they ended up doing, Sam did 3 paid shoots and 9 free shoots, over 50 clients saved and in contact with business coming quick. Sam, in December, too. That's crazy. Congrats. Yeah. Getting responses from DMs I thought were dead months ago. And that's awesome, Dave.
You've revived them, Dave.
Yeah. Swing for the ring said I did 5K this year, but that's me being a stay-at-home dad with 2 kids, only working 18 shoots, but I'm stoking the fires and the kids are nearing preschool age, which will open up my schedule. Nice. Oh. That's awesome. I want to break 100K, of course, Mason said, being my first full year, but I think you can do more. I think you can do more, Mason. Honestly. Look at like 125, 150.
Yeah, Chris 150. Come on.
Yeah. Get it there.
And for 350.
Big goal, killed it in December, 25K plus. That's crazy.
Not bad for a dead month, as they call it, or when everyone else thinks it's dead, we attack.
Yeah. Started our business in April 2023. We started full-time right away, had a contact shooting virtual tours for a company out the gate and built our local business while we were executing contract. Nice. That's super cool. Only made 2.5K for the year, but definitely held myself back. Won't be doing it this year. Started in August. Yeah, Victor, I mean, 2.5K is not great for the last couple months of the year, but you started in August. And you got enough.
August 2 years ago, I'd be like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
But no, that's not terrible. That's not bad, man.
Push it. I like what you said. Won't be doing that this year. And then you held yourself back. So that's awesome. I mean, not that you held yourself back, but that you know it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You held yourself back, Victor.
You showed great restraint.
Well, that's a huge moment. I mean, I'll be on calls with people in the front, and I'll a question can come up and be like, what do you feel like has stopped you from getting to these things you say you want? And that's a test question we have on the front to see how they're going to actually answer that. Is it going to be, well, this and that and this person and this person and this and that and this in the market and competition and that it's different here? And is it more that, or is it, hey, I've been in my own way? And is that a, what word am I, is that accountability?
Limiting belief.
Yeah. There's a word for it I feel like I'm missing here, but just that, oh hell, it's something, but y'all know what I mean. But yeah, it's, I shout out Victor for that. So,
well, what questions do you guys have? Drop it in there.
If y'all don't ask questions, we're just going to ramble the whole time, which I'm fine to do. I don't know.
Mason, we have events. So I bought the boat as a charter business. And just for everybody's context here, we have mastermind events on it, Mason. So DM me and I can send you info on when the next couple of those are. Love to have you out. As someone who hasn't started yet, I love to hear about wins.
Dude, go get a super blast of it. If you go to Eli's Instagram and then go on the little highlight, isn't it on there?
Yeah, it's if you want to see a bunch of wins.
If you just want to go get juiced up.
Yeah, so if you go to my Instagram and you see the one that says students, if you click on that from
the
like
highlight circle.
Yeah, let's see, it's loading. There's so many wins it has to load. There it goes. You can go through here for an eternity and see people's wins. So if you ever need a little dose of motivation, go for it. For the last couple of years, just win after win after win. So
I thought the coolest one this morning was Jordan. That I remember.
Oh yeah,
I spoke about.
It's on my story now.
The one that I moved forward with coaching back in April, and it's 8 months in. Yeah, he bought coaching back in April, and 8 months in did 82 grand.
Yeah, I'll read it. He said
usually 75%, 80% is profits of that, but 82 grand and then 27K of that in December alone.
He said
8 months into starting.
It's crazy. He joined in April. I'll read it because I don't think everybody can see it. Back in April, I made one of the scariest but best decisions of my life. I quit my $20 an hour warehouse job, joined the launch coaching program with REPP, and went all in. Fast forward 8 months, and I'm ending the year with 82K in total revenue, 27K of just that in December alone. Thank you, Eli, Kenny, Jared, Karen, Rod, and all the amazing coaches at REPP. On an even bigger 2025. Oh, he's here.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, we usually don't say last name just so that people aren't like bombarded by people, but he said it. He did it first. So it is Jordan Wessel.
That's so awesome. I don't know if I'm speaking too soon, but Jordan, I believe Kenny on our team has coordinated you to be on the live. Is that correct? If not, I'd love to
end of the month being on it.
Is it scheduled?
Maybe.
I think it's scheduled already.
Kenny is usually pretty on things, so he might have showed up at Jordan's house and been like, "Hey."
He probably did.
He could have. Kenny with both his doodles.
Yes, on the 30th. Okay.
Yeah, so did it. Okay.
Yeah, for everybody, Jordan, whose win we were just reading, will be on the live on the 30th. He did some interesting stuff with his business too. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Jordan. We'll talk about it on the live, but shop for some builders, some other cool stuff. So excited to have him on.
And then we're going to have, let me try to find her win. On the 16th, we'll have Chelsea Kitchens.
Nice. Okay.
Right. Who spread out. She's a single mom, couple kids, right? No. Just kidding. That's another story. That's another win. But so she is not a single mom. She is a mom. But she did 90K. Her worry was, with just being, taking care of her kids, time, all of that, and did 90K her first year starting as a beginner. 90 grand.
So she's on the 16th. Is that when she's coming?
She's on the 16th, and then we got Jordan on the 30th. We're stacked.
Stacked month. I know.
Let's go.
That's awesome.
That'll be cool.
Mason said, Eli, I would love to hear from you. How has being a business owner and being financially free changed your life? That's a good question, Mason.
You're going to make Eli get fluffy, which he don't like to do usually, doesn't he?
I mean, it changes things at stages, right? So I had this weird, and I don't know if this will resonate with anybody, but I vividly remember being like 6 and wondering how I was possibly going to make money when I grew up. And I was a little older at this point, but I was probably like, I don't know, 11 or 12. And my dad would always give me like tasks. I'd always ask him because I always wanted to earn money, right? So I would always ask him like, hey, what can I do? And he would give me like pretty terrible tasks that I needed to do to get paid. And so there was this one day where there was there was our house and there was a house next door and there was a fence in between, and there needed to be rock There was this huge pile of rocks and it needed to be shoveled like into a wheelbarrow and then wheeled over and dumped between that fence. And so I did that for, it felt like an eternity. It was probably like 2 hours. I was just a kid. So, time goes really slow. And I got paid my like $12 or whatever. Not even that. It was probably like $3 an hour. I don't know. And I remember getting that and I was like, that was hard. I got my little money. I walked inside and I saw, I don't know if it was a water bill or something on the counter in our kitchen. And it was like $100 and something. And I was like, how am I going to be able to survive? And that's like the kid in me, but I think I always had that. It's like, I wanted to make money, but I didn't know how. And so the initial thing that was really cool is I thought that I want to go to medical school because I kind of like that. And like doctors make money, right? That was my thinking. And so the first big change was like, when I realized I knew how to make money, that was a massive unlock. Like I had this skill where I was never going to be truly broke again. Like I figured out how to make money with a service business, shooting real estate. And if real estate wasn't a thing, I could do that cutting lawns. Like I figured it out, right? I was like, oh, and that comes by doing your first few shoots, making your first money as a business owner. I think it's a really life-changing thing for a lot of people is you're like, dang, that's crazy. Like I'm not going to have to do a job again. Like I figured out how to make money. That's a huge one, right? And then you start to go like, hey, like I'm now making great money. Not only am I not gonna have to do a job again, but I figured out how to make good money and have a cool lifestyle. And then you figure out that you can hire a team and you can scale. And so at every stage, it kind of changes it. And I think I'm a person that likes to do things. Like I like to create things, like to build things. And so for me now, like the biggest change my businesses have grown is I'm more limited by what I can think about doing. And that's a cool thing. Like if I wanted, I wanted the boat because I took my wife in April on a boat for her birthday. And I was like, I got to have one of these, but I don't want to pay for it. Right. And so I'm like, well, I can figure this out. Right. I can have a captain charter it for me. And like, I can anyway, it just kind of unlocks what you can do, which I think is super cool, but it's not like, I think the thing people must make as a mistake is like, it's not just all at once it happens. It's like you get these little things you unlock. Oh, hey, I'm not worried about it anymore. I know how to make money. Oh, hey, I now know how to run a team. And so if I leave for a week, my team's still going to go and they're going to make money for themselves, which is super cool. And they're going to have opportunity and I'm still going to, and then you just move up levels. Super cool. So I don't know if that's what you're asking, Mason, but I think there's unlocks that are really cool. I mean, it's cool to make your first 100 grand. It's cool to have your first 100 grand in the bank. And that, as those numbers ascend and you hit new milestones, that's cool. And big months. And yeah, I mean, I just think a lot of it is just you open up a lot more potential in what you can do. And that starts from day one. As you would say, Mason, like I'm sure it probably changed your life when you figured out you can make money yourself. It's pretty cool. What else do we have in here, Mr. Rod? Anything else that we should hit on today? Got about
questions. Let's rapid fire some questions or something a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone who still has questions that you probably have asked earlier, but
re-ask your question.
Re-ask so we can make sure you're on still. Sorry if we didn't get to it in our in-betweens. Hey, I like this comment. Come on, get in there. Come on. It's the time of the year to do it. If we're going to do it any month of the year, it's time now.
210K goal is
now, and we ramp you into busy season. Let's go.
JV said, Eli, for the DM, you prepare 10 different messages and send them every X days, or what do you suggest? So what we do, and I hate to give you this answer because it sounds like I'm just plugging coaching, but in coaching, we have a tool that it creates a custom, it's so good it feels like a human. It creates a custom DM for you based upon different parts each time. That way you don't get banned on Instagram. So you put in their name and it spits out a custom DM that's based upon your stuff. You got to put some info in. But that's something like that. You got to write a custom DM every time if you don't have that, or have something that makes it different.
This one.
As a branding agency transitioning into real estate media since 2024, do you think it'd be beneficial to focus on offering branding services tailored to realtors?
In addition to providing photography media as well.
We generally don't recommend that because I think if you're going to do branding, you want to do it for people who will pay more. Real estate agents, it's starting to be more the case, and there's hit or miss depending on your market, but they don't typically have the budget that makes it make sense. It's much better just to do like regular real estate media. You can find people who will. It's just there's two skills in business, they say, and I really like this framework. There's operating the business and there's picking the business. Those are both skills. So if you're going to pick to do branding, I would do branding to someone who's going to pay more for it. For example, I spend tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing my brand, right? Most realtors probably spend like $2,000 a month at the most. And most don't even spend that. So it'd be better to work for a personal brand like mine doing branding than it would be for a realtor. So if you get to pick your business, which you do, it's better to do that, if that makes sense. But if you pick your business with real estate agents doing listing media, it makes a lot more sense. So like I love just real estate media. I don't like a lot of the services for agents around it. My husband and I are retiring. We've been in photography, videography since 1978. It's been either feast or famine. We love real estate photography, but I won't lie, it's scary. Yeah, I absolutely understand that, Jan. The one thing that I think you'll really like is real estate media is great because it is consistent. So with a lot of other photography, videography, anything creative, you like work with a client and then you're back to zero. You got to find another client. Your real estate agents, they hire you over and over and over. So we talk about real estate media having 3 R's. These 3 R's are what make it an amazing niche. It's repeat business, right? So they use you over and over again. There's referral driven growth. They're all talking to each other. And so they share your name and you can grow by referrals. And then it's required. It's not legally required, but it's like you shooting for them helps them achieve a goal. Most niches have 2 of 3 or 1 of 3. Real estate media has all 3. So weddings, no repeat business, right? That'd be weird. That's not going to happen. But there is referral growth and it is required. Everybody hires a wedding photographer. So you get 2 out of 3. Portrait, repeat, but it's like every few years, a lot of times. Sure, you get referrals, but it's not really required today. Like most people, like especially family photo. So most niches only have 2 out of 3. And I think that's why there's a lot of starving artists, so to speak. And that's why photography and videography can be really feast or famine, because the niche that you pick really matters. So that's what I would say. Mason was talking earlier about when we said, when you make your first money, it like changes your life because you realize you can do it. 100% agreed, Mason. I made my first $800 day and I was like, what is money? We don't need it anymore, And so obviously that was a short lasting feeling because you definitely do need it. But yeah, early on, those wins are so awesome. It like changes your outlook on life, I think. So
I kind of want to preface this question a little bit, guys. Our thought sometimes is if we have a ton of people doing the same exact messaging, it might tone down the value of it and it might kind of drone into this zone of being spammy. So we recommend that y'all have some variety there. We don't want everyone just kind of like doing the same exact thing, I guess, in that regard, because then it might just take down the effectiveness. So that's why sometimes we might not answer this one so hot. Just because, I thought it's like nice, we might as well kind of dig in a little.
Yeah, I mean, and truthfully too, like you do, even inside of coaching, the generator creates custom messages. And the reason for that too is, like Rod said, if you just blast the same message, it's spam and a bunch of realtors will get it. But the other thing is Instagram is going to block you from sending messages if you send the same messages over and over, right? And so you have to customize it every time. That's where that generator comes in.
But in general, the opening is, y'all say it usually a lot. Hey, I'm building my portfolio. Would love to get my name out there. Do a free shoot for photos. It's really the same bullet points that you're hitting. What are those bullet points that you're hitting in that first message?
Yeah, so the bullets are, I'm just going to give you an example of a message. Usually goes along with the video too. Hey, my name's Eli. I'm a new real estate photographer in this area, or whatever it is. I like saying new. It sounds crazy, but it kind of works. Or I'm trying to build my client base, whatever it is. I'm a real estate photographer in this area, and I'd love the chance to earn your business by offering you a free first shoot. It's a completely no strings attached. Like I just want to show you my work and what it's like working with me, my customer service, that sort of thing. So do you have a listing available now you'd like to try that on, or do you want to use it in the future? Either way, if that's of interest, I'd love to help. Something like that. Free first shoot. A lot of photographers that are either 2 types of people will tell you shouldn't do free first shoots. One is photographers who've been doing this forever and don't believe in that, but took forever to launch their business. So you don't want to model them. And broke photographers will also tell you that. You also don't want to model them. So I have plenty of videos talking about free versus paid and like the free first shoot as a lead magnet model. I think it's crazy that people still, and it's not me saying, it's like everybody who's made any money in any service or product business understands that samples and free stuff is the number, like a lead magnet is the number one way to do that. I mean, if you think about it, even in my business, REPP, we have a great workshop, right? It shows you about real estate media. It's free value to you. We show you what it's like to learn from us. You get to learn from us. And then we're like, hey, if you want to talk about coaching, you get on there, right? It's a free piece of value. I had to put time into creating that, right? It didn't devalue me making that. That's what a lot of photographers say. It devalues you offering free. Spotify offers free trials. The biggest companies on earth offer free trials. So I hit on that because a lot of people's next objection when I tell them about the Instagram method is like, oh yeah, but I'm not going to offer free. I'm like, well, that's fine. But you should look at the people who do versus the people who don't and make sure you model the one that gets what you want. I think it's really important. Okay. We got time for 2 more questions, Mr. Rod.
You pick them.
Oh gosh.
Wait,
you pick. Rod's like, no, never mind. I found a good one. I'll pick it. If you get one, Rod, go for it. Robert said, hey, Eli, I'm in LA, lots of competition, but also lots of opportunity. Would you recommend email marketing like MailChimp to follow up with clients? Robert, I wouldn't. It's not that it doesn't work. It's just that it's not the best use of your limited time, in my opinion. So my goal is always to help you do the more of what works. Email works, but it doesn't work nearly as well as Instagram. People just delete emails. We all get a ton of spam. And so I would spend that time on Instagram. What's the last one, Mr. Rod? Do you offer payment plans on coaching?
I had to end with a coaching one. Come on, I got to plug coaching.
Go for it. Well, then you can answer.
But no, of course, yes, Mariah, we do offer payment plans. If you've already spoken to us before, text whoever we've been sending messages or who has been sending you messages. If you haven't yet, then click the link in the comments. I'll put in the comments. And then you can book in with us. It'll have you answer questions first. Then you can book in with us. Then we can get an idea of, where you're at, what the goals are, show you how coaching could be tailored to you. And then we'll go over costs, go over payment options, things like that. So we don't require people to pay up front. We can split it up if someone would like to do that. Great question. Oh, Ryan, what's up?
I saw this. I know it was after, but it wasn't really a question. So I got to put it in here. Ryan, we're excited to have you inside. It was good to meet you.
He actually, a cool story about Ryan. It was at the in-person event in Vegas, and we were all in the room. The event ended, and everyone was leaving, and everyone was out, and then some of us still there, and we were still meeting with people that booked in to talk about coaching. So everyone left, and it was me chilling there waiting, and it was like 9:00 at night, and I had an appointment with Ryan. I was wondering, is he even going to show up? Like I'm going to sit here wait for a couple hours, and he's not going to show up. I hope he shows up. And he did. With his wife, showed up, left something very far away. And it was cold to me there. I get cold if it's 60 degrees, but walked very far from something all the way to little old me. I'm like, I would have met you halfway at least, and then made it on time. Got started with coaching and all that. But I just thought that said a lot about him.
You told me that story. I didn't know it was Ryan. So I'm glad you connected. Yeah. That's awesome.
Listen, I'm getting that's Ryan.
That's Ryan.
Denver. He was, yes. I hope it is. If I'm getting my Ryans mixed up, I'm gonna look real stupid at the end of this.
All right.
But I'm like 99.99% sure that's the Ryan I'm thinking of.
Anyway,
yes, Ryan.
Thanks for being here, everybody. We'd love the chance. If you want to start your business in 2025, I'm used to saying 2024. We'd love the chance to work with you. We're moving into busy season, and so if that's at all of interest to you, book in with my team. I'm very lucky to have a bunch of great people that'll show you what coaching looks like, talk about your market, talk about your goals, make sure that what we do is what you're actually looking for. And so, yeah, we'd love to talk with you. Rod will put the link for the 3rd time, I think, in the chat. One of Rod's favorite things to send in the chat, actually. So
I think it is. Anyway. And I was starting to second guess my Ryans for something.
Yeah, it's the public thing. I know.
Alice, he ran very far.
It's a being on the stage in front of people. You're like, wait a second. Anyway.
We memorize people's usernames, their actual names, and their business names.
Yeah, all 3 we have to remember. Anyway, we'll go set awesome goals. Get your goals for the year done. If you want to talk with our team, bring your goals to the call, and they'll tell you if Again, we're not about setting high expectations then not meeting them. So we'd love to share that with you, and we'll see you on the inside, I guess. So have a great night. Thanks for kicking off the year with us. Happy New Year, everybody. And we'll see you very soon. Have a great rest of your evening. See you later.
Bye, y'all.